Attack on Titan's ending has been widely praised and is highly rated everywhere, hailed by many as a masterpiece. But even with all the acclaim, there is a decent number of fans who just aren't satisfied and find it trash. Their criticisms mainly focus on these 4 key points: why Eren committed genocide, why he killed his own mother, Ymir's complicated love for Karl Fritz, the show's lack of clear explanations for some of its most crucial mysteries. At first glance, these might seem like genuine plot holes or nonsense, but what if I told you there's a deeper meaning behind all of it? One that could completely change your perspective. In this video, I'll be defending these 4 criticisms and giving you proper legit explanations which might change your perspective. So let's begin. First, let's address the most criticized point of the ending. Why did Eren commit genocide and kill 80% of humanity? So it is indeed the most asked question and also the most criticized one, but I don't get it why. At first glance, obviously it's horrifying, but here's the thing. It was inevitable. Not just because Eren wanted to protect Paradise or his friends, but because it was meant to happen. I know you must be confused hearing this, so let me explain. In the final episode of season 3, when Eren kissed Historia's hand, at that moment Eren had both the founding titan and the attack titan. And Historia was of royal blood. When he touched her hand and kissed it, he came into direct contact with her, which triggered the powers of the founding titan. Essentially, the founding titan has the ability to see past, present and future simultaneously. However, to use its power to the fullest, the holder must be of royal blood. Eren was not of royal blood, but since he came into contact with someone who was, it triggered the powers of the founding titan. In that moment, Eren glimpsed fragments of the future, but he did not see everything, only bits and pieces of certain events. These included the declaration of war on Paradise, him manipulating Grisha, the rumbling, his own death at the hands of Mikasa, and possibly Shasha's death as well. So he saw the rumbling, which is the future, and since it is the future, so it is inevitable. No matter what he does, it will lead to the rumbling. It's a time loop in which he's trapped. Now you might be wondering, even if it's unavoidable, why didn't he even try to change it? Well, he did try to change it. Eren tried to fight it. He admitted in the finale that he attempted to change the future countless times, but the outcome just wouldn't change because, as I said, it's a time loop. It's unavoidable. The events we see in the final episodes are his last attempt to break free, but he couldn't change it since it was the destiny. For Eren, the rumbling wasn't just a choice, it was a canon event. Although it's not the only reason, there are some minor factors that contribute to this dominant reason, which is the safety of his friends and his nation. The world had declared its intent to exterminate Eldia, so for Eren, there was simply no other option left. Rumbling was a consequence of multiple complex factors. This is also why he had no answer to Armin's question when he asked why Eren committed the rumbling. Eren simply called himself an idiot for it, because at this point, he had essentially lost his mind, and I truly mean that he had lost his mind. After trying to change things countless times and failing, the guilt of his actions, knowing that he would be killed by his love, all of it mentally destroyed him. That's why he had a breakdown later on. He was completely gone at that point. Not to mention, it's his consciousness speaking in the past, meaning his actual psychological state. Calling himself an idiot wasn't just self-pity, it was the raw honesty of a man who has seen too much and tried too hard. This isn't just a story of a hero, it's a tragedy of a man that couldn't be avoided. If you have seen the TV show Dark, then you will probably understand what I'm trying to say. It's about a time loop in which the characters are trapped. Now, one of the most heart-wrenching twists in the series, why did Eren kill his own mother? If you have seen my video on this topic, you already know the answer, but for those who haven't, I'll explain it here in short. When Reiner, Bertholdt and Annie reached the wall, Ymir's Titan was going to kill Bertholdt, and since Bertholdt had just transformed, he couldn't shift again to save himself. And since during the rumbling, Eren had the founding and was also in contact with the royal blood, he intervened, redirecting Dina toward his mother instead. There are 2 main reasons for why Eren did this. First, he needed to save Armin for the future. As Armin would inherit the Colossal Titan, to make that happen, he had to keep Bertholdt alive. The second reason is tied to his own past. When he was a child, seeing his mother die in front of him filled him with unimaginable rage towards the Titans, which fueled his desire to join the Survey Corps and all his other ambitions. However, everything perishes when he kisses Historia's hand and realizes that he himself is responsible for these events and that he has to make it happen. So again, it's the part of the time loop. Eren is trapped in it, and no matter what he does, he can't escape it. As I've mentioned before, he tried everything to change the outcome, but nothing worked because it's his destiny, his canon event. Hopefully this clears things up. For a more detailed explanation, check out my other video where I dive deep into this topic further. Now let's talk about Ymir Fritz, a character who sparked endless debate. Why did she love Karl Fritz, the man who enslaved her? This question about why Ymir loves Karl Fritz has sparked a lot of debate and confusion. I've already made a video dedicated to her character analysis where I break down every aspect of her character. Watching that would give you a clearer understanding, but I'll briefly explain it here as well. To understand Ymir's love for Fritz, you need to look at her entire characterization, which is open to interpretation. I'll give you the most reasonable explanation. Ymir was just an ordinary child in her village, struggling for basic needs like food, water, and shelter. She didn't understand a thing outside her village, and some concepts like love, romance, motherhood, etc. When Karl Fritz captured her village and enslaved everyone, he held his wedding ceremony in front of them, kissing the bride. Ymir saw this and misunderstood love and romance for something else, probably for lust. She didn't consider respect or dignity between partners, and she was just a child here, so it's very reasonable for that to happen. And after gaining her powers, Ymir returned to Karl Fritz because she might have got the power to become big and strong, but from the inside, she was still that scared little innocent girl, also unsure of what to do with such ability and possibly even got scared by this. So she went to the most powerful person she knew, Karl Fritz. He accepted her as his concubine and used her powers for his own gain. In return, she lived a decent life with shelter, food, children, and love. By love, I mean her version of love she had misunderstood in the beginning. Since no one in her life corrected her understanding of love, she respected and loved Karl for giving her a sense of safety and belonging. And that's the reason why Ymir gave her life for Karl and served for him as a slave in the past until Eren came into her life, where Eren didn't command her, he requested for her permission for the use of the founding and left that decision to herself. And this was the very first time in her life that somebody requested something to her and respected her enough to leave the decision to her. All her life, people had commanded her and she mistook that for kindness. Eren's gesture made her realize how wrong she was about love and respect, and this realization was so overwhelming that it brought tears to her eyes. Now I guess this has given you a clear understanding to why she loved Karl Fritz. If not, feel free to check out my character analysis video of Ymir where I go into even more detail. And finally, let's address the one criticism I can agree with, which is that how unexplained Attack on Titan is. Like everything I've explained in this video, it's legitimate, but it's also very hard to get. There are many elements that are simply left unexplained in the show. For instance, this ugly ass radish looking centipede-like creature, there is no information about that at all. Even Parts doesn't have a clear explanation in the show. I get that it's left up to interpretation and I don't mind that, but clearly some people do. But it is the way it is, and honestly for me this is something which makes the show even more interesting. Even after watching it for so long, I'm still thinking about it, trying to piece together different aspects. Leaving things up to interpretation is a common technique in anime and movies, and while I enjoy it, I still feel that offering just a bit more explanation would have made it even better. And there you have it. I've tried my best to explain and defend the ending, and hopefully it has changed your mind. You need to understand that Attack on Titan's ending is complex, messy, and deeply human. It challenges us to think, to empathize, and to accept that not every story ends up with a happy ending. Eren's journey is one of sacrifice, inevitability, and heartbreak, a fitting conclusion to a masterpiece. And if you want to understand the first 2 points more deeply, then watch my videos on why Eren killed his own mother and Ymir Fritz's character analysis, where I've explained everything in detail. Just click on the videos flashing on your screen. Thanks for watching.